He could have been forgotten, like the many who died in the institution, with only numbered grave markers. But after 44 years in the institution, Bill's life was about to begin.
In 1972, I was just out of college, not really gainfully employed. I was selling encyclopedias. Actually, I think I only sold one. Doing some freelance photography and just sort of managing to make ends meet as best I could. But my wife, Beverly, was a cocktail waitress at a country club called the Minnetonka Country Club in Minneapolis. She worked until 2 in the morning. And I would drive up the winding drive and park in the parking lot and wait for her to come down. And in the idle moments while I was waiting one night, I noticed that there was someone peering at me through this window. Our eyes sort of met. His hand came up into the frame and he waved to me. And so I waved back. That's the polite thing to do. And then he waved again, and so I waved one more time. And when he waved the third time, I decided this was a bit much and sort of looked the other way. The next night I was there again and he was there again waving, and I came to refer to him as the waver. My wife Beverly, however, told me his name was Bill and that he was a pot scrubber and he cleaned the stoves at night. From the very time I met Bill, and well, all the way through our friendship, we were always videotaping this or that or using Super 8 or 16 millimeter film.
You know, when we first met him, he looked pretty bad. I mean, he had a huge goiter on his neck, and his teeth were just so rotted that he couldn't eat anymore, except for soft food.
I don't know that he'd ever seen a dentist during his years in the institution. We were able to get those, well, we couldn't save his teeth, but they came out and he got dentures. He was overweight by quite a bit. You know, he'd wear the wig, and oftentimes he'd wear it kind of sideways with the ear hole here instead of over here where it belonged. You know, he looked like a bum, basically, the kind of homeless person that, you know, you'd run into and run away from.
There is only one existing photo of Bill from the institution, taken when he was just 25 years old. At that time in his life, there was a push to get Bill out of the institution and placed in the community. But the pleas went unanswered, and so he spent another 26 years in Faribault Institution.
He told me what he could about his life, that he'd been in some place that he doesn't like to talk about, but that he had a lucky piece, a $2 bill, which he carried in his wallet, and he showed it to me. I think he attributed his getting out of the institution somehow to this lucky piece and the fact that he was a world-class harmonica player. It wasn't hard to be with Bill, a person who was mentally retarded. It was easy to be with Bill. It was fun to be with Bill, and it was infectious to be with someone who just saw such delight and joy in being alive in the world. They wanted to remove his leg. I guess what they wanted me to do was to explain that to Bill. But I met with the doctors and the social workers, and I said, you know, if you take his leg off, he's not going to be able to work very well. And they said, no, he won't be able to work at all. He'll have to go back to the institution. I went in his room and I said, Bill, you know, you knew how to take care of your leg, and now we're really in a jam. And I had been, you know, kind of rehearsing these lines. So now, in order to save your life, you know, we're going to have that leg removed. But these words came out instead. Bill, in order to save your life, you're going to have to move to Iowa City. And I don't remember really. All I remember next is picking up a payphone and calling Bev and asking her if the couch we have folds out into a bed. Because that was what we were now prepared to do, which is take Bill to Iowa and somehow try to keep his leg and keep him alive and keep him in the world.
Bill was welcomed with open arms into the Morrow family. Barry, Bev, Clay, and their new daughter Zoe all lived together with Bill in a small farmhouse a few miles south of Iowa City.
One day I was at work and I got a call from Bev, my wife, who said that our daughter Zoe, who was just 1 year old, was very listless and just didn't seem right. We raced over to Mercy Hospital and there was 3 doctors there waiting for us. They brought Zoe in and immediately checked her for, did a spinal tap and checked her for spinal meningitis. She was a very sick girl. And, you know, within an hour she was upstairs in intensive care, all her hair shaved, and tubes everywhere. And she was in a coma. It happened like that. So we kept the vigil next to our daughter's hospital bed for about 48 hours. At the front desk, they've been getting persistent messages from this man who's waiting down there to see his granddaughter. And it was Bill claiming to be Zoe's grandfather. And when I finally realized, you know, what was going on, I asked for them to bring him up. And I remember what he said. He said, "You should have called me first." Then he looked over at this wall of monitors and beepers and life support system, and then little Zoe in the bed with her head shaved, and he fell to his knees, and he took off his wig, and then he continued with the prayer.
Our Father, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, and to give us the trespasses against us, and give us on earth as in heaven. Oh, blessed Lord, grant mercy to come to me and help me, Lord, and mercy. We'd like to thank you for the blessings you did for us today, a wonderful Savior. Amen.
I said, you know, thanks for coming, Bill, and I'm sure, you know, God heard your prayer. And he said, oh, sure he does, buddy. He hears everybody's prayers. And we pressed the elevator button. The doors opened. Bill got on, gave me a little wave, the doors closed, and as soon as they closed, I heard this shriek from down the hallway. And it was a nurse or Bev or somebody, and I ran thinking the worst. And when I got in the room, she was awake. She was out of her coma. And, you know, Bill credited his prayer with bringing her back. And I don't really have any reason to dispute that.
Encouraged by the students at the university, Barry sat down to write what he knew of Bill's life and struggles. And after several days, he completed Bill's Triumph, a story that would soon gain widespread recognition. On December 3, 1981, the world premiere of the television drama Bill was held to a capacity crowd at Iowa City's main entertainment venue, Hansher Auditorium. Barry and Bill traveled across the country, sharing the story of triumph and offering inspiration to many chapters of the arc. In 1984, Barry began to serve on a national level of the ARC, promoting positive awareness. Tom Moore served on the ARC of Greater Cleveland's Board of Directors and on a national communications committee with Barry.
When I first found out that Barry was on the committee, I was a little intimidated, quite honestly, and I think I even said to him right when we met, I said, I think maybe I should be working for you, and he just kind of laughed and he said, no. He said, I know what I'm good at. I'm not a committee chair. He said, I'm just here to help. You tell me what you need help in, and I'll do it. And I was kind of blown away because he did not fit the Hollywood stereotype, a bit. And he was so down to earth. He was really a nice guy. Of course, we're all bugging him. We want to know about Tom Cruise. We want to know about Dustin Hoffman. We want to know what it's like on the set and all that kind of stuff. And he would accommodate us, but that's not really what he wanted to talk about. He wanted to talk about his wife and the trip they had taken, and he wanted to know about us. Just like a normal person. And it was really great. It really restored my faith in humanity to have somebody this with this kind of credential, and he was just trying hard to be a regular guy and succeeding. Well, with Barry, he's been involved so long, and it all happened naturally. He knew Bill Sachter, and he's been interested in people with disabilities for a long time, and even when he didn't have a movie or a TV program or a project or something, he wanted to be involved. He wanted to help, and he still is doing that, and that's kind of amazing to me. He really has a passion for it, and it comes through when you talk to him. Everybody's got a story, but it really helps to have somebody like Barry Morrow asking the questions and turning it into something that's really as good as it can be, and where the heart of it really comes out. So that's the kind of thing he does.
Here was Bill. He really should have ended up probably in the gutter somewhere. And, it took a lot of people and a lot of luck, but he ends up at the world premiere of his life story. And more than that, his story had a profound impact on a generation of television viewers. It presented for the first time, maybe ever, a sympathetic role of a person with mental retardation that was triumphant.
The Bill television movie was a major hit across the nation and was nominated for many awards, including 3 Emmys and a People's Choice Award. When Mickey Rooney received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor, he was unable to attend due to a Broadway engagement. So he sent Bill, Barry, and Bev in his place.
When we were at the Golden Globes, and we were waiting to find out if we won or not, and the producers did not want Bill to go up and play his harmonica. They just didn't want him to do that. And we thought, to us, it was like, well, that's, one of the things that Bill can do.
Reluctantly, Bill turned over his harmonica. I gave it to Bev. She put it in her purse. And sure enough, in that category, they read the name and said,
the winner is Mickey Rooney.
And Bill just went tromping right up there. He was on that stage just in a flash.
I'm sure there's 2 people he would like to thank most of all, and that is Barry Morrow, who also had to do with the writing of the picture, and the real Bill Sachter, whose courage and inspiration and love, simple love, made all this possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
And then he reaches into his breast pocket and pulls out his secret mini harmonica, which I didn't know he had with him.
We send this to you, Mickey Rooney, with love from both of us.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, that story is extremely meaningful to me, and I think it's meaningful to anybody who has been part of that story, has read that story, or has been in a similar situation in terms of an individual in the community who befriends somebody who's intellectually challenged, in this case, a person in an institutional environment, and then has shared with him that friendship over a long period of time and helped move the individual to many, many community-based, better life situations, and has been a friend. And friends are so meaningful for all of us, but for the person with developmental disability, it is even more critical. And it's more difficult to find friends. But it is so important in a person's life for that person to be successful and to be integrated into community activities, integrated into society. Friends make a huge difference. Without friends, you limit the possibilities. You limit the potential that a person with developmental disabilities has.
I sat down with Bill and I told him that I thought it was time for me to go to Hollywood and try and make a career. And you know, we were going to trade on the success of Bill, and there was a sequel planned, and this was kind of my opportunity. And I said, would you like to go with us? And he thought about it, and then he said, you know what, buddy, I'll miss you, but I got a lot of friends here, and I got a job, and I got a good home, and he said, well, you know what, I got something for you. And he reached into his wallet, and he took out his lucky piece, his $2 bill, the one he'd been carrying with him all these years. And he handed it to me, and he said, buddy, if you're going to California, you're going to need this more than me.